Welcome to Shazza's Laughter Hour here at Radio Northern Beaches 88.7 or 90.3 FM. Or you can live stream through the website rnb.org.au or through the app TuneIn Radio. Welcome to the show, and this week I have a very special guest. He's a comedian, a funny guy, very intelligent and absolutely delightful. It's Umit Bali.
Hi, Shazza.
Welcome to the show, Umit.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm very honoured to have you on Shazza's Laughter Hour this week. You're a very interesting person.
Okay.
Umit is actually agreeing with me on that.
Okay. No, like, as in, like, okay, I if you say so, I don't want to, okay.
Yeah. He's not upsetting me by agreeing with everything I'm going to say.
Not at all.
Good and bad.
Absolutely.
No, it's all going to be good. So thank you very much for your time, Umit.
No, thank you for having me.
How long have you been doing stand-up for, Umit, and how did you get into it originally? Were you one of those funny kids that grew up being the class clown, or was it just a natural progression from there? Or did you make a decision as an adult that you would have a try?
I started doing stand-up comedy right after high school.
Yep.
I didn't actually start doing it properly until 2010, though.
Okay.
And I started stand-up comedy because I was at high school and I really did not want to accomplish anything high school-wise. Or I was trying my best, but it wasn't happening.
No, well, why would you?
And I was like, if comedy seemed like fun. Like, I used to go and watch people do, like, no, actually, I never went to live shows. I used to watch it on TV, and I'd be like, I tried to be funny with my friends. I was never really the funny guy. Like, I tried to be funny with my friends, and it would just be weird. But then when I was just being myself, and because I don't know a lot of things, they would just laugh at my, like, not stupidity, but just like lack of, stupidity. So they would laugh. So I was like, maybe if I can bring this stupidity onto the stage, I can maybe make money and not have to do anything ever.
You can have a lot of time free.
Yes.
During the day.
But I didn't realize there's a lot that goes into it.
There is a lot more than you imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, it's show business. And I have no business experience.
You know what? I reckon a business course is worthwhile. Business marketing and promotion.
I'm already bored. I'm so sorry. I can't help it, I can't retain information. It's horrible. And I'm not going to say I have 80, but like, because I know people have it and they actually suffer and it's a problem for them. I just doesn't seem to, like, when something's happening and if it becomes too whatever, my brain will start, like, making something up. So yeah,
you're like Homer Simpson in some of those episodes when he's going la 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 la.
Yeah,
like a bubble comes up, a thought bubble of, and he's in chocolate land.
Oh man, I think a lot of people do that. Like, so whenever something gets like boring or you don't want to listen to it, you still want to, like, seem like you're being a good person, but you just start thinking about what you're gonna do, what's gonna happen, and then you just come back to the end of the conversation, repeat whatever they say, and they go, oh yeah, and then that's it, right?
You're staring at them, but you're really in your mind staring into space.
Yes, that is true. That's what I've done a lot of, and I did like mantra meditation a lot before, and I used to do that when I did the mantra meditation. The monks didn't know, otherwise they would have been furious. But you're repeating the same thing for like 2 hours. So
what is that? What kind of mantra is that?
I was the Hari Krishna movement. I guess it's not a cult, but it's very cult-ish. But it's not a cult. It's very nice people. They're very friendly. And I was working a lot at my day job, which is actually night shift work at my day job. I work night shifts. And that was, my family needed me to help them. So I stopped doing comedy for a while because I was doing night shift work at my day job.
Yeah.
And then, because what was happening was I was getting work and then having to say no to a lot of the gigs. And then those gigs were like, stop calling me as the first person that needed to or whatever. And then I was getting in trouble for work for like doing gigs when they needed me at work. And my parents needed me. So I was like, I'm going to, that's basically what I mean. But I started right after high school, but I took like a 4-5 year gap and then started again properly in 2010. But while I took that gap, towards the end of that gap, because I didn't have comedy, I guess, because I think everybody needs like a creative release.
I think so.
People say creative outlet, but it's actually a creative release. You need to be able to know that you are able to think stuff and imagine, and because otherwise you're gonna just be like a bodybuilder or something, like in a gym. Not that they're like, I've met some really intelligent, funny bodybuilders, you know, Dwayne Johnson. Anyway, so
he's wonderful, isn't
yes,
he?
he's great.
Oh, he's nice with his shirt off too.
Okay. Yes, he's very coconutty. Anyway, he reminds me of coconuts, but I don't know. I can say that because I'm Fijian Indian. I'm also a coconut. But yeah, but yeah. What was I saying?
Do you know what? I've almost forgotten, but let's keep going. No, we're talking about how you had to take some time off.
Oh, yeah. So I took time off.
Your family and to earn a living.
So, there's the Hari Krishna mantra thing. So I was going through a lot of, like, towards the end of the 4 or 5 years, I started to really, like, hate working at the job, and I didn't see any point in anything, and I was getting really upset. And then I met the Hari Krishna guys, and the first thing the guy said was, like, I just do comedy. Don't worry, it'll take care of itself. And I was like, all right, and I did, and it did. And, like, you know, they were really, like, really cool, really funny guys. No, not funny, but they're really nice and
accepting, maybe.
Accepting and very, like, and I could just be around them. And I had a lot of bad habits at the time, so I was just like hanging out with them. I was able to, like, stop gambling and stop drinking and stuff like that. And then I ended up, you know, doing comedy properly after that. But then they went back to New Zealand, and I still, like, keep in contact with them every now and again. But, you know, for those, I think, year and a half, it was pretty, like, full on, but I could not take in any of the philosophies or the practices. It was really hard. Like, I got bored so easily, and I didn't understand some of the things they were saying. I just be, like, nodding my head, and they're like, because it's, you know, like, they're like, oh, you're such a good student. I'm like, yes, and I didn't know anything. So, yes.
Lucky you didn't have any exams or anything to have to retain the information.
Oh, yeah, we had to go to this place once where we had to perform rituals, and we were just going to be there with the monks observing. But the monks' car broke down or whatever, because, you know, God's plan, and we got there, like, late before them. And these guys are, like, expecting us to do it. It's me and this other guy. And we're like, we didn't know what to say. So we're just, like, sitting there, like, hey, pretending to be all.
That's when the cymbals and the little triangles come in handy.
Yes,
musical instruments. You could do a musical interlude.
Yeah, so that was probably the only test I failed in that thing. But yeah.
And this was in Sydney, Umit.
That was in New Zealand, because I met them in Sydney, and then we went to New Zealand for a retreat.
Yes.
And I spent a lot of time. Man, New Zealand was really nice, and I was there for, like, maybe 2 months, and then I came back.
What part of New Zealand was it in a beautiful part of New Zealand?
We went to Wellington and then Auckland. I don't know exactly where the places were because I stopped listening after that.
Okay. But you found at least that you had some accepting friends.
Yes.
Who pointed you in a good direction.
Yes.
For you.
One Direction.
One Direction. Oh, once again, I will start screaming if you say One Direction. Those boys are just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, they're great. I work at, like, a video game arcade.
Yeah.
Because my life is going great.
Yeah.
And we play music over the speakers, and I work on bumper cars. And whenever you turn the bumper cars on, you have to turn the speakers on for the music, and it's all, like, the latest pop and whatever people are listening to. And
you're keeping up with the music, Umit.
Well, yeah, I'm being, like, I'm aware with the pop culture, but, like, I've been listening to it for, like, so long now, for so many years, because I've been working in the arcade for many years. I've started to, like, really enjoy it, and I mean, I always enjoyed it, but now it's like, you know, I don't understand why people have, like, different music that is bad and music that is good, because I'm like, they're just sound vibrations anyway. But
that's what it is.
And you're like, your vibration is better than my vibrations. Like, you know.
Well, they say that music really enhances our brain.
Yes.
Not just our brain chemistry, but the neural pathways in our brain. So it's actually healthy for us to listen to good upbeat music.
Really? I didn't know that.
Did you know with Mozart, if you're expecting a baby, if you play Mozart, it helps with the brain development of the baby.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And they have a lot of music for women who are having a baby, in utero music, and also for the newborn babies, helping them to get to sleep with classical music, particularly Mozart, is very good for their brain development.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the guy was a real genius. He was a tortured genius, obviously.
Was he?
As a lot of geniuses were.
Okay.
Mozart, if you ever watch a film about Mozart, he had a pretty amazing life, but I don't think he was had any techniques to relax and go within. I think he was pretty much on all the time.
You should have listened to some of his music.
That would have helped, wouldn't it? Yeah, beautiful music helps us. Very much so. So, Umit, after school you were befriended by some Hari Krishnas?
Oh, no, this is when I was working.
This is while you were working?
Yeah, at the games arcade.
After you were a schoolboy, so you were a young adult?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was I think 25.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, wait. Not 25. 21, 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I met them because I was working for like a lot.
Were they on the Dodgem cars when you met them, or?
No. I was actually going to work, and I saw them on the street, and they tried to stop me many times.
Yes.
And I said, nah, I don't need you to stop me. And then, but they give out the books, right? And then at my work, one of those books came into Lost and Found, and I don't usually read books, but I was having like an
That long word, existential.
Yes, I was having a crisis, and and the book said The Science of Self-Realization. That's what it was called, and I was like, that's exactly what I'm looking for, and that's what they do. You know, they got that title for the thing that you might be needing because you're distressed when you go to those things.
Of course.
So I read that book a little bit, and I wanted to learn more. I went out with them. We hung out. We went to Darling Harbour, the Govinda's restaurant not Darling Harbour, it's Darlinghurst, Govinda's restaurant. Went up there, had like free meals because they were like supporting the Hari Krishnas. So I got to eat for free.
And with vegetarian, nice vegetarian,
Yeah, vegetarian
healthy food?
meals. Yeah. So that's how I met them. I met them on the streets.
Yeah.
Gangster.
Yeah, gangster style. Well, you look like a bit of a gangster, Umit.
Oh, thank you.
But a very nice, smiling one.
Yes. The gangster thing is just so like I can like, not stay alive pretty much. Because like people will probably not want to, steal stuff from me.
They won't steal from you.
Well, I don't usually carry anything anyway.
No.
But yeah.
Gangster Hari Krishna. Keep your hands off. Yeah, so Umit, you came back and then you decided that it would be a good idea to change jobs from working nights so you could go back to exploring stand-up comedy as a work.
Yeah, I told them I didn't want to be supervisor anymore, which is basically night manager. And I took a demotion back to customer service, which meant a reduction in shifts, but then it meant I could just do day shifts and I could have nighttime to do stand-up. And then something, I don't know, I just got really lucky, and people, say, I got really lucky, and I was working really hard, but I got really lucky in comedy as well, and I started to like make a little bit of money on the side from it and progress a little bit. So it worked out okay.
Yeah.
Because I was still,
That's the thing. We've got to support ourselves somehow. And if you want to be a stand-up comedian, you can't really work at night. It's not conducive to getting out there. But if you do other work, then nighttime work is great.
Yeah.
But during the day, it's not so good.
Absolutely.
How long have you been working as a stand-up comedian now? It's about 8 years, did you say?
Well, 8 years. I wouldn't say working though, because like working means you earn a living from it. I get some money from it, so it's like a serious hobby.
Yeah. And we were for any listeners that don't know, Umit and I were in a TV pilot, a proposed TV sitcom pilot some years ago.
Okay.
Set in the office.
Were we? Oh wait, what were we just talking about?
We were just talking about that.
Right, yes, we were
He's
talking.
already tuned out.
I'm sorry, I was like totally not listening. You called me out. Damn. So yeah, how about that?
So Umit is also a gifted actor.
Oh yeah, I just hammed up like a really Indian accent.
That's it.
I remember that. Yeah, that was all I did.
Because you do have, is it Fijian Indian as a family background?
Yeah, I was born in Fiji, and I'm Indian, and that's right.
Yes. Well, you can tell me that. Yeah.
Yeah, and
you should know.
Yeah, well, Indians were brought over to Fiji as indentured laborers to work on the sugarcane plantations by the British. With indentured laborers, that's like slavery but with a contract. So we signed up to slavery. That's how. Anyway,
was this when your parents were younger, or was this hundreds of years ago?
Not hundreds of years ago, but like 1880s, I think. And so maybe one or two generations. And then after like the time they had spent, the contract was up, they were like either not paid or like treated really badly. And then the thing was like they had to pay for their own way back to India. And it was like, well, we'll just stay, because they didn't have the money to pay for themselves to go back, or whatever money they did make, they didn't want to spend it on going back to India. So they ended up staying in Fiji. And then the rest is, well, then there was India and Fiji.
So that is one of the reasons, or the main reason, why there's a large population of Indian people and Indian heritage people living in Fiji.
Yeah, at one point it was half and half, but like there's a lot of coups that happen in Fiji and a lot of fighting. like power struggles, I guess. And it's really every time it happens, it hurts the economy, it hurts the country. But because of that, a lot of Indians will like migrate, and even native Fijians. Everyone likes to just keep leaving Fiji, which sucks because like to leave Fiji, you have to get like you have to be like a doctor, a lawyer, or someone with a trade or whatever. So you just like the country is being ripped off out of its. The country's being ripped out of it. People that can benefit the country. So.
Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? That often is the way, unfortunately, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
People that can help the emotional and physical healing of a country need to leave, or they want to leave
themselves
for more safety for them and their families. And the unfortunate thing is it leaves a big hole in the community and the whole place, doesn't it?
Yes.
So what's the situation with Fiji right now? Do you know?
I don't know.
No.
I haven't really... I can remember there was this George Speight guy that did a coup.
Yeah.
And then what I heard was then this other guy did a coup, but it was a good coup. Because all the other coups were bad coups because the people that did the coup were trying to get to run the country. But what was actually happening was that they were just puppets that were being organized by... This is all critical conspiracy theory, or if you're a conspiracy theorist, critical thinking, but it's probably true. A lot of people that were in the government, they were going to lose power after the new election, so they didn't want to lose the power, so they got this guy to do a coup so that they can keep their positions and have their family members in the position. And then after the coup, he just got exiled and they still had their jobs or their power or whatever. Then the other coup happened where this guy came in, and he was a military guy, and he came in to stop the corruption. And he was going to stop the corruption and to get order happening again, but then he decided to stay as the leader. So it's like, you either, what does it say in the Batman movie with Two-Face? It's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain. So that's what he did. But he apparently the country's doing a lot better now. So yeah.
I hope so, because it's such a beautiful place.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, any Pacific island is usually a very beautiful place, a beautiful part of the world.
Yeah, lots of sky and sea.
Yeah, the blueness.
Yeah, the blueness and
beautiful trees,
coconut trees.
Yes, and lovely tropical fruit. Yes, and fish
and rivers.
That's it.
Yes.
Nice climate.
Yes.
However,
we didn't have like good rubbish disposal, so we should a lot of people we used to live next to a river, and the river was the what do you call it? The dumping ground.
The rubbish dump.
Yeah. So you just you go to the river and you see like other people's rubbish floating down.
Oh no.
So yeah, but it's a beautiful country.
Apart from all the other stuff.
Apart from the rubbish
and
the coup.
Yeah. And Umit, have you ever been back to Fiji in recent years?
No, I haven't. I got my I wasn't able to go back when I first came because I didn't have a permanent visa to stay in Australia.
Yeah.
So if I left, I wouldn't have been able to come back.
No.
And I didn't want that.
No.
So I had to wait till I got my permanent residency, and then I wanted to get my citizenship just to be sure, to be 100% sure. And then I had to wait for my parents to get their citizenship and everything else, and stuff happening over here. Now it's like, maybe I can save up some money and go and visit. But like my dad went and he came back and he was like, he didn't like it that much. It was like, there's, but I haven't been back yet.
Yeah, so
I should answer shortly. I had too much stuff, and it doesn't even mean anything. Anyway.
But well, in some respects, when people move to another country, sometimes they regret moving in the long run, and they feel a bit displaced, and they don't feel like the new place is their home. So in retrospect, it's good that your dad went and he's gone, yeah, Australia is home. I like it here.
Yeah, but when you say that, it's like you have to look at it. We never really felt like we were at home in Fiji anyway. Yeah. Because we were an introduced species, kind of like the minor bird in Australia. Yeah. and there was always a lot of fighting and people you grow up being told that you're not a native, and if you have a farmland, you can't really own the farmland. It's still owned by the government. I'm getting too technical now, but you grow up basically with the feeling of like you don't belong here, and there's a bit of tension. You can see it on the news and everything else, and so you feel it, but you can make you still get along with everyone around you, but you just know that there's this tension, and so when you have that feeling and you come to Australia and you're made to feel that way, you're like, I'm home. But this home has better living standards, and like there's grapes in the fridge,
That's
or
it.
apples.
There's Medicare if you need to go to a doctor.
Medicare, and you can see the doctor you had in your village because he's here now. And it's so good. It's like I still get, like, I really appreciate it too. I never take it for granted. I still get like really excited when I go to Macca's or go to a cafe or restaurant, sit down, because that's a luxury. Like people that are brought up here, I think like they, it's the thing that they do. We go have a catch up, but that to me was a luxury growing up. We used to have pizza in Fiji. We used to have pizza once a year, and not because like we couldn't afford it, but there was like the money you had to be spent on stuff that was practical rather than luxuries.
Was that around Christmas time, or was that a particular time of the year, Umit?
No, that's the best thing about it. We had all these religions and everything else, but then the treats were like random, but only once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah.
So did you celebrate Christmas when you were growing up? Was that something you had as a family?
Yes, I did.
Yeah?
I did. We had a tree.
Yeah.
We had a fruit cake, and we had fizzy drink.
Oh.
And that was another thing that was great about Christmas, because we didn't have a lot of, like, I hated fruitcake. Why are we getting just get?
No one likes fruitcake.
Exactly.
Why do we have it?
It's tradition. It's crazy.
That's it.
And I would get presents. There was no like everyone buying everyone presents. It's just you get presents for the kids, and that was our Christmas. And then like you have relatives come over and they bring you more fruitcake.
Oh.
And you have to go over to other people's houses and give them fruitcake.
You just keep re-gifting it.
Well, yeah, you're just passing fruitcake around, so. It's like,
but everyone's bowels are very loose after all that, aren't they? You're not blocked up after all that fruitcake.
No.
Well, I think on that very happy note, Umit, we might have a song.
Okay.
We might have some song of celebration.
Yes.
Maybe even a Christmassy type song, since we've been talking about Christmas. Can you think of something upbeat that you might like to introduce on Shazza's Laughter Hour as our first song for this show?
Yes. Can we have Last Christmas I gave you... Is that upbeat or is that sad?
Oh, no, that is fun.
Yes, let's have that one.
Underneath it all,
yes.
he's a bit sad because he gave someone their heart.
Yes.
But out of that, this wonderful, fun song has come.
Yes.
And that was Wham, wasn't it?
Wham!
Wham!
Was that Boy George?
Well, close.
Okay.
It was
George Michael! I was so close.
You knew it had a George in it.
Yes, I did.
And his other compatriot was Andrew Ridgway, I think.
The blonde-haired guy is all I know.
We're going to play Wham singing Last Christmas.
I gave you my heart.
And that was Wham singing Last Christmas. And you're listening to Shazza's Laughter Hour here at Radio Northern Beaches. And tonight I have my special guest in the studio, Umit Bali.
Hello again.
Hello. And we were just talking about Christmas and Umit growing up in Fiji.
Yes.
And with your family background being Indian, tell me, Umit, have you ever been to India?
No, I haven't. But
do you
I would
have family in India now?
I'm probably sure I do in terms
Distant.
of like DNA wise, but as in contacting them, I don't really know anyone.
No.
Yeah. No, I don't know anyone.
And you've never been to India?
Never been. I'd like to go one day.
Yeah.
It'd be great to go someplace where I can like actually blend in. But well, yeah, no, I haven't been, but I'll probably go someday.
Yeah, and what about other places? Have you been to other countries around the world, Umit?
I have been to New Zealand, as we spoke about earlier. I went to Auckland and Wellington, and other countries that I've been to. I have been to Queensland.
Yes.
The Outback, Queensland. And another country I went to was Melbourne.
Melbourne, yes.
Yes. I went to Perth, and I went to South Africa. Durban in South Africa, yes.
Did you go there as a comedian?
I went to do stand-up comedy. Like I told you, I don't think of myself as a comedian. I am doing stand-up comedy, and I am a comedian. I saw your eye flicker. I don't want you to kill me, but like,
this is Shazza's murderous hour.
So, but yeah, like, yes, I went there for I should have more self-worth. Yes,
you should have self. Yeah,
I went there for comedy. Yes, I did.
Yes.
Because they
was
needed
it a comedy festival?
It was Indian comedy tour, and they didn't have enough Indians. And they were like,
so they're recruiting them from other countries.
Yes, and apparently this guy was really dodgy. Like, he never paid people, so he'd already burnt all the other Indians that he had recruited.
Oh no!
So he's like, who's someone we know that would be like, oh yeah, I get to go to South Africa and jump for the thing, and that was me. But yeah, so I went.
So you never got paid?
Well, I had like my flights paid. I had my accommodation, you know, and the food. I had food. But yes, I
What
didn't
more
get paid.
can you want
yes.
than that?
Yeah, and I got
guess.
to go to another country and do stand-up comedy. I actually haven't told a lot of people I didn't get paid for that. But yes, it was a great experience, and it helped me. Like, it was my first international thing.
Well, that's on your resume for life now.
Yeah, so in a way, I got paid. I mean, they got paid. I mean, I don't know. Yes, but the people that were anyway, doesn't matter.
It was a good experience.
It was a great experience,
regardless of the money, which would have been good.
Yeah,
but
you
at least
know
you
what?
got the other things.
They made it sound like it was going to be a lot of money because it was rand, which is what they use in South Africa, because you get your money and you run, right? But when you put it down to Australian, it wasn't really that much money, so I was fine with it.
Okay, so where was that in South Africa, Umit?
It was in Durban, in South Africa, yeah, and that's because like there's a lot of Indians in Durban.
Oh, okay.
We're everywhere. Because like they actually, it's funny. I might have some relatives there that I don't know about because when the British took all the people from India for the plantation projects that they had planned, they took them to Durban and Malaysia, maybe not Singapore, Durban, and I'm not sure about any of the other places, but I know they went to South Africa, Durban in South Africa, and to Fiji. They did all the other ones, and then when there was 40,000 left over, they brought them to Fiji. So yes, so I went, and when I went there, it kind of felt like being in Fiji, because you had like, you know, the native Africans, and then you had like a lot of Indians.
A lot of population.
Yeah, a lot of Indians in Durban. And it was like very similar to growing up in Fiji, you know. But then you had like a lot of white people scattered around the place as well, and we didn't have that. But yeah, when you went to the slums, it seemed like home.
Felt right at home.
Yeah.
Oh dear. That seems to be the way most modern countries have been built, and the infrastructure has been built up with slave labour or people who've worked very, very hard from other countries, isn't it? It seems to be the story of modern world. Other people have been used, and sometimes not very nicely, to build up a new country.
Right.
I find that very unfair, but I don't know.
I'd like the end result is like, I guess a lot of people like that country's changed forever. Like if we're talking about America, are we, or
any modern country seems to have been built on convict labour or slave labour or people who have come out and under a contract of some sort, and they've found that it's been a lot harder in terms of work, and they haven't had perhaps the freedom that they'd wanted. One of my recent guests, Adil, was from Turkey, and originally his parents came out to give him and his sister a better chance at life. And
in Australia?
And he needed some medical treatment on his legs that wasn't available in Turkey, and they found that it was really quite like a golden cage, his father called it. That was a very interesting discussion Adil and I had. So they came out as immigrant workers, the father did, but it was a lot harder than they anticipated.
Right.
And they couldn't go back.
Right.
They didn't have the money to go back.
Yeah.
So, but now Adil's got 2 sons who are benefiting from
that journey.
From Adil's parents making, which was, I think, quite a brave journey without having any other family coming out too.
Yeah, and I know Adil, and he's an awesome dude. He's like so like, I feel so small in front of him because he's just so smart, and he's got the architect mind, and he's just got like, you know, you keep going, and he doesn't. You feel kind of like good when you're around him because he's always so like, we'll get through this, we can make it happen, and kind of thing.
Yeah. So that's a similar story to what you're talking about, how a lot of people came out to be labourers and to build the infrastructure, and they were not slaves or convicts at the time, but it was a very hard life for them.
Yes.
So I guess our generation and going forward, other generations are going to benefit from the hard work and struggle of others.
Totally.
Yeah, and the idea is that we can be thankful for that without feeling guilty that they had a hard time.
Right.
Because taking on board other people's guilt or feeling guilty all the time isn't really very healthy. It doesn't help us in the long run. It's already happened.
Exactly.
It's just going forward. How do we react to people? Just be nice to people, I think. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah, I think it's good to know what you deserve and what your responsibilities are. So if you are like, if you don't want to do something that makes you uncomfortable, you know your responsibility, you deserve to not have to do that. But then your responsibility is that to make sure that you don't hurt the other person's feelings or upset them. Just be like, oh, thank you, you know, like that. great for offering me that or whatever the thing is, but it's like, you know, I don't think I want to do that, or I feel like I can't do it, rather than just going, oh, nah, I don't know, just brushing them off or being really mean. Just don't be mean, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some good advice here
Yeah.
from Umit. Don't be mean.
Don't be mean.
We don't like mean people, do we?
Yeah, or if you're going to be mean, like, I don't know.
Usually mean people have either been bullied themselves growing up, they feel powerless, so they think if they're being mean, it gives them some sort of power or some sort of leverage in life.
Right.
But you actually benefit yourself more. I saw a video that said that they had done some studies with people doing random acts of kindness, and also they would take saliva, blood samples and MRI their brains while they were doing something kind, and all the areas that produce cortisol were blocked off, but all the people that were doing these kind things, their endorphins and dopamine, serotonin and oxytocin levels went up because they were doing something kind for something else. And the people that were even just watching an act of kindness or compassion, their levels went up as well.
Right. So it was like a feel-good feeling for everybody.
Yeah, so feeling good and being kind and compassionate is actually benefits us because it helps our immune system, because these chemicals in our brain run through our bloodstream. And also, when you're doing something kind, your blood pressure normalizes, you don't have that spurt of anger, so you're less likely to get a stroke or have your arteries closed down. So there's a whole range of things that are good for us. So
amazing.
Don't be mean.
Yes.
Don't be mean. Now, Umit, can you think of another song that is a nice, friendly song?
A nice, friendly song.
Well, we talk about it. Or what about anything that you like? What kind of music do you like to interview?
You don't want to play the music I like. When I first came to, because like, you know, we grew up in like watching Indian movies, and they got like the songs and then the breakthrough. It's like it's really tension and like everything's serious, and then they break out in the song, and it's usually like really upbeat and everything else. So that's what you grow up with, and you think that's like, you know. So when you come to Australia and everyone's like, oh yeah, Nirvana, this and that, and then you're like, oh, but I like steps. You know, 5, 6, 7, 8. My boots scooting, baby. It's
oh yeah.
So now, but how about like?
Do you like Indian music? Is that something you listen to at home?
No, never.
Not necessarily.
Once I got to Australia, I was like, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't really like Indian music.
Yeah. So all those big numbers where everyone's dancing around, particularly the men. A lot of men like dancing in these films, whereas in Australia, I think less men are inclined to dance unless they're like really drunk and they're holding a beer and sort of swaying around.
I think that might be changing though, because dance culture is kind of like becoming really cool.
Yes.
You know, if a guy can move, it's really impressive. And
I think it is impressive.
Yeah, and you can like easily learn now. You don't have to take like, you know, dance classes that can be a little bit like, how do you say, embarrassing, or you feel self-conscious. You can like look it up on YouTube and see the dance moves and follow it in your own house, and then go out to a club with your mates and get drunk enough where you feel comfortable, and then just break it out, and everyone's like, oh wow,
where did you learn that?
Yeah, that's great therapy.
YouTube.
So yeah, no, if I what's a nice song? How about a reggae song? Would that be
a reggae song? Would be tremendous.
How about Three Little Birdies?
Yep.
By Bob Marley?
Bob Marley. Would you like to introduce that for our listeners, Umit?
How do I do that?
You just say, this is Three Little Birdies by Bob Marley.
Okay, when do I do that?
You can do that right now.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Three Little Birdies by Bob Marley.
That was Three Little Birdies by Bob Marley. Thank you very much, Umit. That was a beautiful introduction.
I can't believe you had that song.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? The database at Radio Northern Beaches is extensive. We've got something for everyone.
Yes.
And Umit, now tell me, with the stresses of life and...
It was very repetitive, that song. I want to apologize to anyone who found it really repetitive, but I hope it's a beautiful day when you're listening to it, and it does well.
And it puts a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Maybe gets you up moving around. What do you do to move around, Umit? Do you do any exercise, or do you keep yourself physically fit for your health benefits, or anything you like to do?
There's no quick fix. It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I just started trying to be healthy like 2 years ago, and I've got this thing right now where I have this piece of paper on my wall, and I like to write down stuff that I would do that would be good for me. So like go to the library, go to like do some open mic so you can do new material, get out there, don't be afraid of what people think of you, and then also like the gym. right? So the gym, I write down for the gym, I write down like 2 next to it. So it's like this week I have to go to the gym 2 times. And if I don't go at any of those times, it'll carry over into next week, right? So right now I'm at 62.
In 1 week?
62 now, yes.
Yeah.
I have to go 60 because it's been carrying over a while.
It's been carrying over?
Yes,
yeah.
But I am working on it.
That's it. That's the important thing, just having a try.
Exactly. Well, you have to remind yourself when you're in the gym and you feel like you're not accomplishing anything or getting anywhere, you have to remind yourself that, you know what, this is a lot. You got to not focus on that perfect body and that muscle tone, or like, just, being really athletic or whatever. You got to focus on the actual truth, which is you're only not trying your best, and you could be doing a lot better, but at least this is a lot better than just sitting on the couch, watching a movie, eating popcorn and chips, or like just lying in bed watching Netflix after Netflix and then eating and then going back to sleep. At least you're moving.
At least you're moving.
And that will motivate you, and hopefully you'll be like me and you'll have 62.
Do you live in a nice street where you can go for a walk around the block, Umit, just in case you miss the gym again?
Well, if I live in Blacktown, which is a nice neighborhood, but then, yes, I would say it's a nice street to go walking around, but even if it wasn't, it would be okay because I live right across the road from the hospital.
Yeah.
So if I go for a walk and I get stabbed, I can just walk over to the hospital.
Very handy.
Yes, very handy, and stabby as well.
Well, that's convenience.
Yeah, so it's convenient. So it's a convenient walking place. And the great thing is, like, there's been I've been there for 6 years, and from what it is now, from what it was before, it's been a massive change. There's been a lot of families moving in, which is like kind of like really, like, at the night times before, when I first moved in, it was very quiet and looked like very eerie, and you don't want to go out. But now you go there, and like there's parents walking with their kids, there's communities, there's people getting together in groups and chatting and stuff. So there's a lot safer togetherness happening.
That's nice.
And that's great for house prices as well.
Yeah. It's like a sense of community springing up.
Yeah, exactly.
And Umit, what else do you do now? You told me that you were doing some sort of mantra with your Hari Krishna friends before. Do you find that you like to sit quietly and just do deep breathing or think about a word, or do you do anything like that, any kind of meditation to calm your mind down?
I think, like, I still do I learned some the breathing thingy with the, just focusing on your breath.
Yes.
A lot, because I think that a lot of people nowadays, we have our minds racing a lot on a lot of things, and we overthink things. And the best thing about like being a kid was that you were just focusing on what was happening now.
Yeah.
It's so hard to just experience what is happening now, because even while you're talking to someone, you're thinking about what you got to do when you go home, and it might be like a small thing, so you can still concentrate on the talking, but it's there. So I think just my thing to do is just to, tell myself to not think about the past and not think about the future, and then just, even the present, just be here now, and just do some breathing with that. And then if you start getting a thought, then you tell yourself, I'm thinking, and then you tell yourself you're thinking this thought, and then you picture a table, and then you put it on the table and you leave it there. And if you like get a feeling, you go, I'm feeling this emotion, and you address it why, and then you put it on the table. And once you've done that, once you've acknowledged that they're there, they'll stop bothering you. It's really awesome. So if you can sit there and you can try to just be in the now, and then these thoughts come in, and then you acknowledge them and put them aside, they'll stop bothering you. And the more you keep doing that, the better you'll get at it, and then you'll be able to just be in the now.
Be in the now. I know it's very hard for us to, as adults. It's a technique we often have to try and learn, isn't it?
It's very important because there's so much everyone's doing.
Everyone's racing around, and there's so much stimulation from all sorts of social media and everything.
I mean, think about it. They thought it was like this when they had typewriters. So when it was typewriters, everyone was thinking like we're thinking, like, but now we everything that we have, we have dictation and typing, and I don't know, man. I don't know anything about technology, but yeah. It
gets exhausting, doesn't it?
Yeah. And
learning to switch off and try to just do some breathing and get out of your head a bit. It's really important.
Yes.
And it gets some. What the deep breathing does, it gets oxygen flowing to our extremities, particularly to our brain cells. And so we feel more alert and yet more relaxed at the same time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Cool. So the oxygen goes through our bloodstream as well, and it opens up our cardiovascular system, so we're less likely to have a stroke or a heart attack if we're taking time to relax and deep breathe and get that oxygen flow going.
Wow.
So all of these Eastern practices of meditation and just breathing and just not having your mind race all the time is actually based on good evidence that it's good for our health in the long run. So it's nice to know, isn't it, Umit? That we can not have our minds racing all the time, feeling like we're going insane.
Yes.
Well, I think that's a very good piece of advice from Umit about getting minds and emotional thoughts out of our brains and putting them somewhere to deal with in a more healthy way.
Yeah, because I think it's good to experience life rather than just want to deal with it.
Well, I think that's a wonderful quote. Well done, Umit. That's very, very sensible.
Thank you.
You could be a guru.
Yes,
you could almost be a guru,
thought of it at the top of my head.
I think that's a wonderful thing to say.
Didn't have to write it down or anything.
No. That's the way you're living your life. And do you bring any of this into your stand-up?
No.
No, not at all.
No, I don't know.
Do you just what kind of themes run through your stand-up, Umit?
My stand-up is mostly a lot of reverse racism. I don't really know what's in my stand-up until people tell me, because I don't understand a lot of things, like I said before. But then after I'll do them, they'll be like, you just did this, and I'll be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So a lot of it is narrative, me talking about my life, and then funny stuff will happen, and then people will be like, oh, that's funny, and then I'll, this is me at an open mic. I'll just talk about my life, and people go, oh, that's funny, so I'll take that from my life and then use it as my stand-up for when I go to club sets where you need to perform and have to have laughter. So I've been told there's a lot of narrative in my stand-up. I've been told there's a lot of reverse racism, and there's a lot of racism. No. Yeah, and then also very, very tongue-in-cheek, or just very silly, but at the same, silly but serious situations. Kind of like a Quentin, no, not Quentin, but serious and silly.
Yeah.
Serious and silly.
So you make a point, but you're also entertaining.
I try it. I don't think I have a point to make, but just because the life I experienced, that whatever I've lived so far ends up being an example. So that's the point, as the example, and I'm just trying to have fun with life.
Yeah, good for you, Umit.
Thank you.
And I think that's one of the best ways to communicate as a stand-up comedian.
You said communicate. Yes, I would love to communicate.
Because I'm a professional, I can spell me words and say me words.
Yes, I know that's called dictation, right? No, wait. Sakata. I remember sometimes someone saying sakata. What is that? Sakata? Or sakarata? It doesn't matter. Don't worry about
Syncopation?
It's okay.
Something start with an S. No, don't say you're sorry. You were trying to contribute very intelligently to the conversation, but I will look up that word afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, just to celebrate, we're coming to the end of our interview with our special guest this week, Umit Bali. Umit, I wanted to ask you, do you have any particular Australian music you like? Anything that you enjoy listening to?
Yes. Jimmy Barnes.
Good old Barnesy.
But this is when he was in the group, and he's got that Last Plane Out of Sydney.
Yeah.
I like that song.
That's a good song.
It's kind of very similar to, it's a very good song. And then everyone is always singing it, but my friend just recently realized that he's singing it about going to an Oriental country and the beautiful women there and stuff like that. And I like it because it's I came here in a plane, and I came here from a third world country, which is where they want to go to. Well, I guess Australia, Fiji is a bit of a third world country, even though it's part of the Commonwealth. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's very relatable to me in terms of the flying part. Everything else, not at all. But the flying part, very relatable, and it's a very good song.
And it's Jimmy Barnes in full flight while he was in Cold Chisel.
Yes, Cold Chisel, that's the band.
Or you'd call him Chisel.
Is he?
Chisel mate.
Chisel mate.
Yeah.
I'm learning something every day.
Or the Chisels.
The Chisels.
But usually now
you're just pulling my leg. Now you're having fun. It sounds like a snack. Oh, would you like some Chisels? Yeah, great band. Chisels, very tangy.
And I got to tell you, I often wonder how Jimmy Barnes sings without throwing his voice out and having, growths on his throat. Do you think
because he just really
he just growls. Do you think that's his natural singing voice?
I think that's when he talks, it's kind of.
I wonder if he does do a voice warm up. He must do to achieve that.
Well,
who knows?
I don't know. I don't know his.
Do you do any voice warm ups before you do your stand up set, Umit?
No, I don't really. No, I just like to make sure that I don't drink any cold water beforehand because your tongue swells up.
I didn't know that.
Well,
it actually swells up, doesn't it?
It does. I guess maybe it doesn't, but I'm superstitious. So yes.
Watch out for that, everybody. And that's a good tip from Umit. Stay off the cold water just before you're going to speak or sing publicly, perhaps. Yes. So let's put on Cold Chisel with the fabulous Jimmy Barnes, and he's singing Last plane out of Sydney's almost gone. That was Jimmy Barnes and Cole Chisel, and you're listening to Shazza's Laughter Hour on Radio Northern Beaches. So just before we finish up our interview with our very special guest, Umit, what's the rest of 2018 looking like for you, Umit? You're going to perhaps go to the gym 62 times 1 week?
No, well, yes, thank you very much, very special Sharon.
Yes.
Because it adds up to 2 days every week, right? So as long as I go more than 2, I can bring that level down.
I see.
Which is the goal.
The goal is to bring it down.
Yes.
So we're going to keep our eye on that and wish Umit all the best with going to the gym and getting his number down.
Yes.
And have you got any gigs or anything special coming up later in the year that you'd like to talk about?
Yes. Well, I'm seeing my gastroenterologist on Monday. But
Okay.
other than that, I'm sorry.
It's part of the human body.
Yes.
Human body?
The first time I went to him, I sang a lot. Anyway, on August the 3rd, I'll be at Sydney Uni. August the 4th, I'll be at Cairns Community Hall. It's part of the MacArthur Comedy Club. It's around Campbelltown. On the 11th of August, I'll be at Wollongong Comedy Club. And then from October 2 to 5, I'll be at the Coffs Harbour Buskers Festival. And the rest of October to December, I'll be doing this show called the United Nations of Comedy with Joe Avati, George Capaneras, Gabriel Rossi, myself, and 3 or 4 other acts. And we're going to be just going all around Sydney and, doing this.
It's a big tour with Joe Avati.
Yes.
Joe Avati Productions.
Yes. Big multicultural show for everyone to enjoy.
So that's going right up until Christmas.
Yes.
I remember meeting Joe Avati around 20 years ago, and he was a very well-organised young comedian back then. I think he was the first comedian in Sydney that actually had a manager. He was always saying, Sharon, I look at this as a business. And he's someone who's been able to balance the creative side with the business side. So he's someone that's good for you to know, because you'll learn things from him about business and
right,
doing comedy as a profession.
He's talked to me before and I've just drifted off, but
No.
you're definitely right. He
Well,
has
maybe
a lot
within
of
the
things to
first
say.
few moments you might pick something up
Okay,
before you drift
yes.
off.
Yes.
Yes. Well, get him to, maybe if he writes it down.
Yes.
Yeah, on a piece of paper you can then reread it and you'll learn a huge amount from Joe Avati.
Exactly, yeah. I would definitely like to try and learn to learn.
Yes, but I also remember Joe Avati always recommending that you get your own show together, because then you've always got work.
Right.
Yeah, because he would talk about an actor friend of his who had worked on an ABC production. It was very good, and that when the production finished and his character was no longer required, this guy was working in his uncle's kebab shop. So he said, if you've always got your own show, you've always got work, you've always got avenues to work. Yeah. And I think Joe Avati's been an example of that all over the world. Yeah,
great example. Don't be a victim of your circumstance. You be the circumstance.
Wow, Umit, come on. That should go on a meme.
Yeah, that's Jackie Chan saying, I think I heard him say it once.
Well, that's pretty good. So I think we should say thank you very much to Umit for coming on Shazza's Laughter Hour this week.
Shazza, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone for listening to me. And thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
And his insights about growing up in Fiji, moving to Australia, working in comedy, and some very philosophical ideas he has about life.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Umit Bali. Let's give you a clap.
Okay. Do I clap?
You can clap if you want. You can clap yourself.
Let's
give yourself some
clap.
praise.
Everyone clap everybody. Yeah.
And we'll be back next Thursday night, 6 to 7 p.m. here at Radio Northern Beaches, 88.7 or 90.3 FM, or live stream through the website at rnb.org.au. And until next Thursday, have a happy, healthy and laughing week.